Just sort of, hey, how's up, friendlies? I wish I meant to say, hey there, friendlies, how's up? Better late than never, am I right? Sorry, guys, I'm late, and I don't really have anything specific planned to talk about tonight. I'm not feeling great today, so I'm not at my best. I do, however, have beer, and I have bladed bushcrafty objects around me, so that at least the motif is maintained. Because that's worth something, right? So, what are we going to talk about tonight? That I just don't know. I've been trying out a few things with the channel lately, pandemic-y things, and I'm hoping that is going swimmingly. Hey there, Tyler, how's it going? I've lost my window because I'm just a pro that way. Yep, I've lost my window. I'm using StreamYard just in case somebody wants to come on and chat about stuffs. Whoops. I do believe I have lost my hold on, let's get rid of that. Did I lose my mic broadcast? No, because I was closing the wrong window. Okay, we're good. Hey, Tenenbaum, how's it going? So yeah, I'm not entirely sure what to talk about tonight. I'm trying a few different things lately. Tyler thinks tonight should be about improvised or homemade tools. Working iron with Nathan. Just did a smithing video for claw hammers. Interesting. I might want to watch that, actually. We could talk about that for sure. I don't have a lot of smithing experience, by which I mean bupkis, but I don't improvise a lot of tools aside from mallets. Like when I'm doing certain things for like splitting logs for cutting into spoons and stuff, I'll put my bladed object, if it's a froe or an axe, and then I usually got like a mallet that's essentially a log that I've sort of carved a handle into and bop. Excuse me. That's about as far into improvised tools as I've gone. I have a lot of hand planes that I've had to restore. And here's the funny thing. I've mentioned this before. Tyler, I think it might have been even like before you started hanging. But the thing with tools that I have to restore is I'm tired of having a tool for which bringing it up to speed ends up being the first step of any project I want to do. Like it's cool to buy a bunch of vintage stuff for the affordability, but it can really get in the way when you're just trying to get a damn project done, I'm spilling beer all over the place because that's the way I roll. That's not the same as improvising tools, of course, but it's really related in that there's a DIY aspect to it that you don't have to deal with if you throw big money at like a Veritas plane or something. I mean, but there's the other side of it. You're throwing big money at a really good plane, like a Lee Nielsen or a Veritas or something. Whereas you're not throwing big money at a vintage plane unless you've had someone else bring it back up to snuff for you. But if you go into Canadian Tire or Princess Auto or whatever the American version of that is, and pick up a cheapo plane, then you've got a brand new plane that you still have to bring up to snuff. I call that an epic fail. Tonight's beer, by the way, is a robust brown ale by Les Vilains Brasseurs. It is a 6% alcohol and it's 473 milliliters. I will tell you what I think. I am quite a fan of brown ales. Works for me. It's just a straight up brown ale. There's no botanicals or anything. Like there's no lavender or anything that'll piss off outdoor dauber. So so there's a DIY aspect to that, which I've done on a lot of tools. I would love to just drop like $500 on a nice Veritas plane at some point, though. Hold on. I'm just going to catch up with what's being said here. Just mute myself so I could cough into my hand like an idiot. Woodworking stuff has been my jam, so I might be a bit biased. Good old Tyler, eh? Well, not just smithing, he says, but woodworking aids. Hold fast, wooden vices, self-made planes. My buddy Robin, who hasn't been around the live stream in a while, he's done a lot of, like, he made a bench hook. He's made a lot of cool stuff. Now, there's the thing. I built a bench. That counts. Robin also built a bench. In fact, he's also built one of those Roman benches, which I would like to do next. Because you can just pick that thing up, put it under your arm, plop it down outside, and work under the sun, Outdoor Dauber says, how's up? Getting kids into bed, and then I'll be joining. Looking forward to it, Mr. Dauber. Yeah, part of the reason I was late is because I was getting the baby to bed. Them babies, they don't care about your schedule. Oh, hey Dauber. Hey Mark. Where have you hidden the Simonsky? He says he might be late tonight if he can join at all. Obviously, we're hoping he can. No, he's quite busy. Hey, Austin. So for those of you who are just joining now, yes, there is the problem with Simo, isn't there? If Simo were here, he'd be asking Boeing or Airbus. I know it well, because he's like dad joke central, even though he's not a dad that he knows of. Oh, Austin, hold on, guys. Look at this. Guys want to hear about an outdoor dauber level deal I managed over the last few days. Tyler did a pretty good one too, but I want to hear about this. Yeah, I definitely want to hear about this. Pretty sure the guys do as well. This beer's pretty good. Oh. While we're waiting for Austin to spill the beans. So I picked up another pair of these video lights. Remember a few weeks ago, I had some different lighting going on, and then one of them went out. Right, so I returned them and bought these. These are very, very, very affordable, but I still bought them before realizing that I was going to be out of gigging money for this long. So I kind of regret the purchase, but it'll be good to have some lights. I need to bring you guys a better visual here. All right, so I've been looking to make a bedroll, and ever since I've been the Hudson's Bay Company, their blankets, I've wanted one. Man, me too, Austin. I want two. I want one for the host, like a 4 or 5 point, like the queen or king, and then I want like it was a 3 point to do a bedroll with as well. In fact, hey, Simo's here. Good. Yes, Austin. So yeah, man, I get that. They're expensive as stuff, though. Oh, did you get one? Did you like haul off a? What? You got a what? How did you? Where the? Wow. What kind of condition is it in? So of course Outdoor recognizes his people. Booyah! Bam, son, as Joe Robinette would say. Wow, how did you? Because at $75 shipped to your door, even if I had been able to buy the same deal and have it shipped to my door, probably would have ended up being like 150 or something. But that's still a pretty good price for especially for a vintage Hudson's Bay blanket. A 4 point. I take off my hat to you, and in fact, I also take off Outdoor Dauber's hat to you, and Hamza's hat to you. I wonder if Hamza's going to be around tonight. I found it on Craigslist and hounded the guy. I didn't know you could get stuff mailed to you on Craigslist. Up here, if someone Craigslist something, he's like, meet me at Lionel Grew Metro at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Bring money. Bit aware, but no stains or rips. Nice. Actually, what Tenenbaum says here is true. Some people just don't know what they have. Anyways, congratulations. That's a wicked purchase. That's the kind of... Yeah, that's amazing. Get it sewn, man. Take care of that blanket, and it will last you forever. Man, I once saw one of those blankets that was like, I think, 100 years old, and it was still going strong. That's the thing, yeah. And like for me, it's not only the fact that it's it's a very good wool blanket, but it's also the fact that it's like a seminal piece of Canadiana. It's like it's a symbol. That and the canoe are the history of Canada right there. Boom, baby. 75 US is a lot more than that in Canadian, but wow, shoot. Huh. Wait, I'm getting behind. Chicken in honey boo. I'll follow it up with a. That's not a weak ass deal, dude. That's the deal I was hinting at when I mentioned that Tyler got a wicked deal too. What Mark says here is interesting because I think he's right. There are a lot of good deals to be had, which is frustrating for me because my day job income cannot pay for stuff like this, cannot pay for anything that you guys see me do. It can't pay for my bushcrafting. It can't pay for my videos. It can't really pay for my music stuff. It goes directly into bills and upkeep on this house. And of course, upkeep of two beautiful little girls. And so right now, when I'm not gigging, I can't take advantage of some of the amazing deals that are out there. And it's very frustrating. But that's a first world problem. Oh, I can't buy the stuff I want to buy. I mean, I've got sort of a shopping list of stuff I've been meaning to add to the channel and stuff. And like, oh, I can't buy this stuff is not really, it shouldn't really be a priority for a couple of reasons. First, because we're keeping two kids fed and I'm still working, so and the missus is still working, so yes, it's hectic and we're always tired because we're both working way into the night because we've got two kids at home all the time, but we both have jobs. We're not losing the house. We're not on the government's their special quarantine dole. And it's also a first world problem in terms of yay, I can't buy stuff. There are people dying in this province. There are a lot of people dead right now in this borough that I'm not allowed to leave right now because of the quarantine, So it's kind of hard to feel too bad about myself. Outdoor, what did you buy and how much did you spend? Tyler and Nick know. They know what Outdoor Dauber is about to do to all of us. Hey, Nate's here. How's it going, mister? I'm going to I'm gonna get you another knot video fairly soon. I don't remember what you said you were working on, but I'm gonna work on the same one because I figure it'll be nice for us to suffer together. I'm just looking up. No, I'm not gonna do that while I'm on camera. It's not pro. Yeah, Nate, I was one of the guys here just pulled off a 4-point Hudson's Bay blanket for 75 US shipped to his door. I was like, what? And I was saying that part of the reason I want one of those so bad is, well, because it's a great wool blanket, but also because it's of the Canadiana aspect, right? It's the Hudson's Bay blanket and the canoe. There's all you need to know of the history of Canada if you're into this kind of stuff. Wow, avid outdoorsy guy and Nate both show up as soon as I say the word canoe. What the hell? That's a beautiful thing. Oh yeah, Austin, yeah. Pendleton are nice, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It doesn't have, but I don't know, like if you guys get the same appreciation for the Canadian aspect as we do up here. Like to me, certain things are familiar because I've seen them for my entire life. Not like they're being shown to me, but they've been in the background noise of just growing up in Canada. And the Hudson's Bay blanket is part of that. And I don't think it's the same down there, but okay. Tyler says week compared to a 4-point for 75 bucks. Yes, that makes your formerly amazing deal weak tea. But I still think you should, you know, yeah, because what Outdoor is saying that that anvil, a 50-pound anvil up here would be very expensive. I don't know about around where Nate lives, because I get the feeling that sort of around Northern Ontario and Central, like those sorts of areas, you can get that kind of stuff more readily than you can in urban Montreal. Which tends to keep the prices more reasonable than like if I walked into an antique store and ooh, anvil, what? You know, I'm getting behind. There's only like 13 of us are here, and I'm already getting behind. What's going on? Outdoor has just shared a link that I cannot visit. If any of my moderators are around, can you make that a clickable link? Or is it just that I can't click on it because, hold on, let me, oh yeah, okay, if I click into the two of views, I can click on it. Got lots of cares. Oh, a little 3-piece mess kit, nice. Nice one, Dogger, nice. I'm going to try to catch up here. Canadian Jam, yes, I will definitely. Austin sent me a couple of photos. When I have the time, I will check it as soon as we're done here. Hey, Omar Lemus, have you been involved in the stream before? I don't think you've been around. So, welcome everyone. Say hi to Omar from Guatemala. I've never been down there, but I would love to visit that part of the world at some point. Yeah, I'd like to visit that part of the world at some point. Yeah, Nate is Austin. I think you won the internet tonight with that purchase of yours. Austin said he thought he might have been scammed. I got scammed once very badly. This is not bushcraft related, so I'm going to be real brief. I bought a bass amp. Like, there are two ways you can buy an amp, and I'm going to keep this real simple and move on. You can buy what's called a combo, whereas you've got a speaker with knobs across the top, which is where the amp is integral to the speaker cabinet. Or you can buy an amp, which is where all the knobs and the tubes, if you're doing it right, are, and a speaker cabinet. And so I had bought an amp, a trainer amp, a very good amp from a guy in the States off of a forum called TalkBass. And at that point, USPS, their tracking number ended at the border, which I could never figure because Canada Post tracked your thing to the door, you know? And so it got tracked to the border and then gone, just disappeared. Apparently, the guy, no, I'm remembering it better now. He didn't get a tracking number. So it could have fallen off the truck anywhere between his place and mine, or maybe it didn't even get sent. But that was a $500 American dollar scam. Still hurts. It would have been a really nice. Would have been nice. Yeah, Nate's speaking epic truth there. I'm gonna have one day. I may end up just having to stump the money for a brand new one. They're expensive. Ooh, fudge. They're expensive though. Omar, you want to tell us a bit about yourself? Are you bushcrafty? What's the scene like down there? I have a hard time sometimes remembering that the bushcraft scene or the outdoors scene in general is not the same everywhere. Some of you guys know Hamza Ksuri. He lives in Tunisia, and on his Instagram you see a lot of, he hits the bush a lot, and it doesn't look the same at all as being around a campfire here in Canada or in, say, New York State or something. Not only because the landscape is so different, but also just the tools are different. Like completely different gamut of knives and axes. In some of the Middle Eastern bushcraft Instagram feeds that I follow. Once you get to like Japan, Korea, it's kind of a lot of the same stuff as we have with a few very different things. I'm hooked into, I think, 2 Chinese bushcraft Instagrammers. And a lot of their stuff is very different as well. So it's interesting to see. So I would love to know what sort of a Central or South American outdoorsman would have and practices he would do and stuff. Like, I wonder if it's more machetes than axes. I would also love to have an anvil on a forge. I would, but 2 problems. 3 problems. 3. Can't burn solids in my city unless it's a pellet stove. The noise would irritate my neighbors. I have a degenerative arthritis in both hands. So picking that up at this point, like, I don't know where the end date is for everything I do with my hands, but at this point I kind of have to sort of concentrate on what I do now. And if I'm picking up new skills, it's getting better at canoeing or stuff that I can enjoy as part of my camping. In terms of being a maker, I do woodwork. Spending the time to set up, the time and money to set up for forging and to develop the skills when I know that I'm coming down the other side of my manual dexterity, it's a dream I've had to let go of. Mark Putmans. What the hell? I just jumped. The word canoe just makes me want to paddle someplace special with friends. Kayak has the same effect. I'm with you. I have a lot more experience kayaking than canoeing. I've done a lot of kayaking, but the canoe, to me, there's a romance there, like a historical romance that doesn't exist for the kayak for me. And I think it's because I've done so much kayaking just on the canal and stuff. It doesn't have the same headspace for me. Oh no, Nate lost a whole shipment of Yeti stuff. Was that for the store or stuff that you'd bought for yourself? Omar says, the only bushcraft you've done is pitching a tarp on the backyard. Right now, Omar, because of COVID, I have a very cool tent pitched in my backyard. It was actually a gift from Tenenbaum. It's a an MSR. Is it a Hubba Hubba 2 Tenenbaum? Is that what it is? Very cool tent. My daughter, who is sometimes my channel co-host, and I slept out in it one night, and we left it up because we're going to sleep out another night or two or three, because we like to camp every summer, and we definitely can't go this summer, so we're making up for it in any way we can. I'm shooting a lot of videos in my backyard. It's just the the times we live in right now. But yeah, pitching a tarp, it's a skill. It's a definite bushcraft skill that you need to have if you're anywhere where there's a lot of rain, and I'm pretty sure Guatemala gets its share of rain. So are you just starting out your journey, or is it just sort of are you more sort of do you just camp kind of thing? Outdoor Dauber says there have been a bunch of wool blankets on Bushcraft USA recently at good prices. I've got to get back there more often. I have so little time for anything right now that I don't go on any forums at all. But I used to be on Bushcraft USA like every day back in the day. It's been a long time since, though. I mean, it's an old story at this point. You guys most of you know that I had to stop going to the forums because I just kept buying stuff. Omar says, yeah, kids are away from school until May or even after that. Installed the over-the-ground patio pool and used the tarp to cover. Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, our kids... We're keeping our daughter out of school until June. The government today announced that they were going to start phasing kids back into school halfway through May, I think starting in May 19th. We're going to keep our kid out until June just to see how that first phase goes. And also because her sister is a little immunocompromised. So we're going to be real careful on this one. I haven't opened our pool yet at all. I'm not looking forward to it. Oh, there's an interesting point, Omar. He says our country has a lot of territory with beauty, but we constantly see barbed wire. Yeah, so there's not a lot of free land for you. Eh? Hey, Hawaii Volcano Squad's here. How's it going? Oh yeah, Omar just says there's not a lot of free land to explore. So bushcraft is used at home on land that belongs to the family on weekend camping. Okay. The way I see it, anytime you can get outside is legit. Even like around here, sometimes we just, if life is too busy, we ended up just going to the park a few times or something. Anywhere where there's trees and grass, we'll have to do sometimes. We still try to go camping, even just to when I go with like the family, it's mostly car camping at campsites. I'm not going to take my daughters wild camping, especially not the 1.5-year-old. Is she even 1.5 yet? Almost 1.5. I love it. Outdoor says, move to the US and make a trip hammer. The Darth Vader of bushcraft. A light axe. Because you don't need a saber for bushcraft, but you do need an axe. Oh, Austin says he had to give up spoon carving because his hands can't do it anymore. Yeah, I'm going to have to as well at some point. So that was a shipment for the store, eh? Yeah, at least you're insured. Yes, Tenenbaum says I was right. Man, I'm getting behind. Sorry, guys. That it's an old Hubba Hubba too. Terrific little tent. Very snug for two of us. I thought it was fabulous. Before installing the pool, you had the AquaQuest XL. I see. I have the AquaQuest, the 10x10, which I use for bushcraft and camping purposes, and I love it. It's fabulous, man. It's funny that a tarp is such a simple purchase. Nate probably sees a million tarps and he'll know what I'm talking about. A tarp is such a simple purchase, but it's amazing. It's amazing that you can buy a good tarp versus a lousy tarp. I mean, granted, you can go to the dollar store and buy one of those sort of woven plastic things, but I mean, I don't mean that. I mean, camping tarps. It's amazing the difference in quality between two essentially the same damn thing. The difference in material, what that means in terms of how much noise one makes, both when you're setting it up and when it's getting rained on, permeability, long lastedness. What the hell's long lastedness? English, English, you're so hard on me. Durability. I love AquaQuest. I think they do great stuff. They ain't cheap, but they're not that expensive either. Outdoor says all Pennsylvania schools are closed for the rest of the year, which we thought was going to happen here as well. Here's the thing, our medical establishment is saying don't open the schools, but our governments have. You guys in the States have exactly the same problem, probably worse, in fact. Our governments have businesses on their ass. Get the economy restarted. Open the schools, open the businesses, open the parks, get the economy restarted. And so we're going to run this, uncontrolled experiment. See how it goes. I think it's a terrible idea, but I also know, here's the thing, there are some kids out there who are not safe at home, who are safer at school, and who get 2 good meals a day at school, whereas they wouldn't at home, and who are being beaten up at home, and at school they have teachers who care about them. And so I get that aspect of the argument, absolutely. For these kids, being at school is more of a shelter than anything else. But man, I don't know what kind of precautions other parents are taking. Longevity, yes. Thank you, avid outdoorsy guy. Longevity is what I was looking for. Hold on. Do they shoot kids with phaser then drag them to school? So they. Well, here's the thing. Parents who keep their kids at home will be suddenly because what had been the case was that anything that happens from here on in doesn't count for grades. And now suddenly the government's changing the tune that if you keep your kids home, you have to make sure that your kids are doing the package that the schools send email or mail to you every week, because they may get tested in June. It's like they keep moving the damn goalposts on us. Omar, mostly camping. Yeah, camping's great. I love it. There are 2 ways of camping. I like to camp. Right? I like to go. I like to be in the camp. I like to smell the forest. My missus likes to go and stay in a campsite. It's like the home base, and you go to, I don't know, the local. You go to I think maybe that town over there has got a great zoo, and that town over there has whale watching, and she likes to see the campsite more as a home base from which you go and often do stuff. And I just love to sit there and watch the fire. And the sun can go down behind me, and I don't even notice because I'm just staring at a fire. I love it. I love it. I've never done whitewater or sea kayaking. I've been like flat water only. Austin has a question for the crew. I can't wait to see this. Oh, okay. He says, this Hudson's Bay blanket was a part of my bedroll. I have consulted with an Amish tarp, an awning maker. With an Amish tarp and awning maker. Took him a plan, and he can sew the canvas bedroll I want for $100 US. Okay. Yet for half that, I can buy a canvas tarp and treat it with linseed oil, and will serve the same purpose. So I would do that. Hawaii Volcano Squad says people die from poverty, and he is absolutely right. just before I scroll past that, this is a very good point that we should really bear in mind. Oh crap! I just lost my space. Oh, I'm just getting further and further behind here, guys. Sorry. Oh yeah. So Austin says opinions are. I would just buy the damn tarp and treat it myself. But I'm saying that at a time when I don't have my band income coming in. So if I had money coming in, I might go the other way for two reasons. A, it just gets done and I don't have to deal with it. Like I love DIYing stuff because I like the pageantry of it. I like looking at it and saying, I was so old school that I made this. Um, but there's a lot of stuff like that I have all the stuff and never actually do, and the stuff just hangs there. I'm like, hmm. um, and if you know an Amish tarp and such maker, bringing him your business, especially right now, is probably the best thing you can do, even if it costs you twice what you would. The difference between $50 and $100, like when you tally up all the money you spend throughout the year, if we're not right now and half the bloody planet's out of work, this is the way I do it. If this expenditure would really, if at the end of the year I still think, oh wow, that was a lot of money, think twice. If I'm in a spot where I don't have a lot of cash flow right now, think twice. The difference between $50 and $100 at the end of the year, it comes out in the wash. So if you want to support a local or a small business right now, when a lot of people can't do that, then it's worth the $50 for the way you will feel about that thing. It's like, I supported a maker. But there's something so attractive about making your own stuff, There really, really is. And here's, Knight says, might as well do it. You're not going to find a wood sleeping robe bivvy for less than that. Hey, Brother Love. Hold on, I'm bringing them up here. Right back in the comments to see that wool blankets are on the table tonight. In case you're interested in HP blankets for free, they can be had via the Air Miles program. That is actually true. I have an Air Miles card that I never use. That is true. I had completely forgotten about that. Well, and there's what, Austin, $800 for something custom. It's not an unheard of amount of money, right? Man, I love it. Brother Love comes in and immediately, boom, fact. I love it. Good man. Oh, God. Phase reopen. I see it. Okay. Okay. How far behind am I here, guys? Oh, that's an interesting question. Hey, which reminds me, Nate, Austin, guys, all of you, how many of you guys wear Fjallraven trousers? I have to wax my Vita Pros, and the guys, the two Irish guys who run Living to Learn, the Facebook group, the Irish Facebook bushcraft Facebook group thing. They also have a podcast called Trial by Fire, and they really don't like the Greenland wax that Fjallraven makes. They say it's shite. It does nothing, and you've suddenly got too much. And so I'm wondering, like, do you guys just use the Greenland wax, or do you guys have a melange or something that you guys use instead of that? Like, do you DIY something with, I don't know, beeswax and blah, blah, blah? Or do you have another wax that you like better? I'm asking because I would like to do my pants fairly soon. Shit, I just scrolled too far. Nice one, Jess. You fool. Hold on. Boom, boom, boom. I am so okay. Brother, and the difference between Pendleton versus HPC is the loft and wave. There are lots of blanket waves. Pendleton is much tighter and can feel thinner, therefore colder, but aggressive carding can fix. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay. No, hold on. Everybody jump all over Avid here, okay? Can somebody explain the Hudson's Bay blanket hype to me? I don't get it. Are they the best ever or something? Yeah, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they're Canadiana, dude. They're a symbol of the country just to the north of you, which you should, by the way, move to because it would be great to see you in person. And man, you got canoes and stuff, and we need more people like you up here. But hey, that's me just being me. No, the thing is, a high quality wool blanket is a high quality wool blanket, and I do believe that to a certain extent, when you're buying especially a brand new Hudson's Bay blanket, part of what you're paying for is the history and the name. Okay. Um, it's something that when you grow up Canadian, it's just part of the fabric around you. It's just there. You see it in like old pictures, you see it in new pictures, you see it in textbooks, you see it on TV, like anything that's shot that's like a period piece, um, that takes place in a certain era. It's just it's part of. We just grow up seeing it the way you guys grow up seeing. I have no idea what is part of like the fabric of growing up American, to be honest with you. I've got no idea. But there must be something, like maybe Pendleton. No, not even. Not even. Because it's part of the weave of this country's history. You know? Eh, And so it's a very high quality blanket. It's probably not the only blanket of its quality out there. They cost a mint. And across the entire world, there are avid collectors of these things with vintage ones and not so vintage ones. And, the traditional sort of cream colored. And then at one point, and they still make them, they changed all the colors. And because, you got to be able to market variety now, right? For the record, I don't want a red one or anything. I want the straight up traditional cream with the 4 stripes. But that's what it is, like you're not getting a better wool blanket with a Hudson's Bay than you will with something else that is of comparable price, or even maybe $100. Well, 50 or $75 less. But if you grow up here, and you have the chance to get one for a really great price, you jump on it. And if you're Austin and you get a great price and you're smart, you jump on it. Because you know that half the Canadians on the stream right now are like, damn it. Tyler and Nick say to Austin, if you need waterproof and durability, be smart about your tarp. A plain woven tarp is strong, but a drop cloth is not that. That's true, but I figured you could wax the drop cloth, or I wonder. Here's the thing, Austin. I wonder how much would it, like if you buy a drop cloth, okay, you're saving like half the money, right, and treating it yourself. But would you save that much if you bought the same quality? I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. If you bought the same quality canvas as that Amish guy would give you, would you be saving that much money, or would you suddenly be spending like 75 instead of 50, kind of thing? Or what I mean is, would you suddenly be spending 75 instead of 100? And then in a time equals money world, once you've thrown in your own work at setting it up and everything and treating it, does it come out in the wash, or are you spending more? Yeah, Nate says to Avid, insert you wouldn't get it meme. That is the most sort of culturally exclusionary thing I've seen on my live streams. I love it. Oh yeah, and Brother Love says exactly what I was just saying. Whoops. that the blanket hype for the HBC is historical. Absolutely is. And by the way, the Hudson's Bay Company is a very old company. It played a massive role in developing not only Canada but in many ways North America as it is today. And played into European culture and politics in a massive way. Like, so it's not just the history of the blanket being there on all these historical people, but it's also the fact that company once owned so much of this continent. That company developed so many of the small towns and cities that now exist. Started out as Hudson's Bay um, forts or trading stations. It was in some areas it was the stand-in for imperial British rule. Yeah, there's a lot going on there, you know. Avid, you just you just need to buy one, Avid. You just need to get one. Just throw like $300 at one, and you'll just so love it. And you'll put it on your couch, and you'll look at it, and you'll love it. Austin, the one thing I'll add, I like the Amish Craftsman's fabric. He's a light tent canvas, which is what I want, whether in a tent or an open air. Well, everything I've been saying up until now, Austin, sort of counts. If he's got a fabric sorry, that you like, and that will cost you more than your drop cloth, and you're supporting a small business, and you don't have to add your labor into the price of your item, then $100 is not a lot for a custom anything. Yeah, Hawaii, me too. Oh, and Austin is essentially speaking to what you were saying. He wants it to mostly shed water rather than be like sleeping in a rugged piece of kit. Um, yeah. And Avid Nate, what Nate says here, and it's funny that this is such a piece of Canadian history because they're made in England, always were. But the thing is, the Hudson's Bay Company used to be based in England, right? I mean, it was Royal Charter and all that. I mean, it's a headquartered here now, but it used to be headquartered in London. It was a British company at one point. Yeah, I really want one. Whoops! Oh no! Crap! Hold on. I just sort of. Hey, K-Bone's here. K-Bone's probably been here forever, and I'm just okay. I'm 10 minutes behind on the comments. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep up, but you know, no, Mark. The rest of the year means until everything starts again in September. Trust is fabric. 10 canvas is different, and the smaller, tighter weave, the better. The small, yeah. And by the way, Austin, if Tyler says something, he knows his stuff. You can take that to the bank. Nate, you got some insight into that. Now, what did I say 10 minutes ago that you've? I thought I heard somebody come down the back stairs. Come down the stairs. What do you have insight into, Mr. Nate? I'm forgotten because I'm 10 minutes behind the conversation. The conversation in the sidebar here. Brother Love says, I've been deep diving into the waterproofing wax issue as well. I have not found. Oh, Nate, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about the wax issue. Yes. Okay. Brother Love also hates the Greenland wax. Nate, I knew that you would have something to say about this. I am looking forward to scrolling just to whatever you say. Hey, Hike with Mike's here. How's it going, man? I hope Hike with Mike is still here because I'm, like, as I said, 10 minutes behind you guys. I have not seen the new film on Robert the Bruce yet. Hawaii Volcano Squad. I don't need a Mountie uniform. Some asshole in a Mountie uniform shot up Nova Scotia last week. We still don't know where he got an authentic Mountie uniform. It's funny because when I was a kid, I'm old enough that when I was a kid, Mounties on duty wore the red serge. They haven't done that since I was. I mean, I was a kid. I was like, I often wonder what made them settle on brown and beige. Brother Love, I don't think the HPC blanket is to Canada like guns are to USA. It might be more like Levi's or something. It might be more like Levi's. Avid says, sports are as America as you can get. Truth. Baseball and apple pie. Yeah, okay, so guns, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe guns are, Hike with Mike says, boom. Levi's jeans, yeah, Budweiser, true, Coca-Cola. Yeah, those are things that I'll say, like, American to me, too. Mark has fallen behind by 5 minutes because of a lagging connection. Hike with Mike is not a sports guy, so you can't relate to that. I'm not a sports guy either. I like 3 sports. I like 3 sports, and only 2 of them actively. I passively like lacrosse. We used to have a professional team here, and it was a great sport. I actively like football, by which I mean round ball that you kick with your foot. There are those what call it soccer, but those people are wrong. And I do like the New Zealand All Blacks. Rugby is a great game. That's pretty much it. I do love the soccer though. Man, it's a beautiful game. But I'm not an active sports fan. I think that sports are definitely the opiate of the masses. Yeah, even Hawaii Volcano Squad says it's guns. Hike with Mike, man. Hudson's Bay that's what it's built for. Hudson's Bay Company was put there for the fur trade, for getting beaver pelts so that Europeans could have felt hats. It was all about European fashion. Tenenbaum says, well, those blankets were as good as currency. That because of the point markings, which is true. And I had sort of forgotten to bring that up in the conversation because I don't script anything I say on screen. So, of course, I forget stuff all the time. I put up my first cocktail video. I put up my first cocktail video. I realized I'd forgotten to say 2 things. So the next day I refilmed them. And then by the time I edited the video together, I'd forgotten to put both those clips in. So I put one of them in and re-uploaded the video. I mean, you guys, my videos, sometimes are such a seat of the pants thing. It's like I fix so much in the edit. My videos are a lot shorter than I planned them to be. Couch? What's wrong with couch? Couch? What? Couch? Chesterfield. Because my grandparents' generation. Just have a seat on the Chesterfield now. Shut up, Grandma. It's a couch. Tenenbaum. Hudson's Bay ran the system in a big part of the North America. Yeah, absolutely. It was, man, big company, powerful company. Ran its own, had its own troops, had its own law enforcement, had its own You know, it was a different time, and part of me would love to have lived back then. Part of me is glad I didn't. But the Hudson's Bay Company funded explorers. Can you imagine a retail giant today funding explorers? Right today, explorers are funded by the Royal Canadian Geographical Society, or National Geographic, or something like that. But the thing is, most of the frontiers have already been found at this point, and I just would have loved to have lived at a time when North America was still being discovered. When there was no word for bushcraft, because it's just what you did when you hit the woods. I wonder what that was like. I wonder what the world smelled like at that point. To a certain extent, it's easy to be all blithe and say, "Well, cities smelled like horse poo," but I wonder what the world smelled like, as in, how much of the air that we breathe, both here in a very urban Montreal or a little further out, is like, how much do we not notice that if someone was dropped into, even a field in Oka or something? Okay, most of you won't know, but even like an hour outside of town, like, how much diesel stink would that person be like? Whoa, what's wrong with the air here? What's that? I don't know, metallic tang. Like, I wonder what the air smelled like in the world at that time. That's the kind of thing. That's like my morning shower thoughts. Okay, there's a little insight into the kind of stuff that occupies my head while I'm doing nothing. I wonder what air smelled like 400 years ago. I wonder what the great red spot on Jupiter looks like from 100 miles above. I said miles for no reason, because I don't know what the hell a mile looks like, but that's the kind of thing that I think. Um, and in fact, oh man, I'm so far behind. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Hey, Jan, how's it going? Hi, with Mike loves the World Cup. Absolutely. Me too. Oh, Omar, you got to go. All right. Maybe we'll see you next week. Oh, Simone's showing us the link to. Okay, hold on. I got to get back to you. Avid, yes, I saw that you just dropped 500 on a drone. I envy you that in a big way. They have changed the legality of drones up here, that in a way that essentially, because up here, where is it? No, I've already taken it down. Right here. Okay, right now what that is like, okay, that's how I want to redo the garage one day when I win the lottery, and this is like my daughter's stuff. But up there is also where I keep stuff I want to add to my kit, and I had a drone up there for the longest time, and then the government changed the legalities around it and the licensing and stuff, and I just took it. Forget about it. It's not worth it. I essentially have to get a pilot's license now. Obviously, it's not a pilot's license that'll get me into a Cessna, but it's essentially the same ballpark now. Yeah, Nate, you're gonna talk to me about Fjallraven pant waxing? I like it. Simo, there's a good selection of wool blankets here at Aoril Mountain Anoraks. That's a shop that I don't go to very often because I don't want to go bankrupt. I'm just trying to catch up at this point. Ever hear of a shot glass called a shot glass because ammo was currency? Could trade one round of ammo for a shot of whiskey. Really? I didn't know that. Try underwater for a new frontier. That's a good point. That's what I I didn't mention that, but that's as close to a new frontier as we've still got at this point. That's pretty much all we got. Brother Love, a few recipes for waterproofing canvas. Most of them use turpentine, which would be awful. Really? The concept of hit the woods. Okay, Chickadee and Honeybee are or is that just Tyler, or is that one Nick? But they say that the concept of hit the woods had yet to be born. Amazing, right? Such a different life. Like making a fire in the woods wasn't an exciting way to spend your time. It was just something you did because you had to do. Tenenbaum, I imagine this all the time. I can't even imagine what the old growth forest around here looked like. The landscape here and in the States, and let's face it, across a lot of Europe 400 years ago, was completely different, right? We're used to trees that are this big around, but old growth, massive trees, especially out west. And those weren't special trees; those were just the trees. Whew. Brother Love, oh crap! I just went right past it. He says that even some. Wait. Just let me make sure I'm not skipping. Oh, okay. Hold on. Yeah, I did. Okay, I skipped way past. Hold on. I'm gonna go back. Brother Love says that recipe was used as a vehicle to allow coating to seal the holes in the tarp to achieve. Sorry, my Hackintosh is doing weird stuff behind my laptop here. Hackintoshing is not for the faint of heart. Unfortunately, I am the faint of heart. You think a better approach is to impregnate the fiber so that the texture repels water? That's a good idea, and I agree with you. Yeah, Outdoor Dauber says something. He says Abercrombie and Fitch used to make real outdoor clothes. It was the place to get your safari jacket and the pants once upon a time. It's amazing how a company like that really changes, eh? Like now it's all like you think of Abercrombie and you think of like college ingenues with a sweatshirt that says Abercrombie across the front, and that just means they spent like $150 on their sweatshirt. Little Eagles quote there. Okay. Brother Love says, so far, I like the typical Australian oilskin slicker recipe. I don't know that. Oil slicking? Oilskin slicker recipe. And then he follows that up with some heavy construction canvas tarps would work just fine. The real issue is when they're used as ground sheets. Weight equals pressure, and that is difficult to compensate for. Well, that's probably why like a tent canvas is different, right? For that, can't beat a blue poly tarp. Yeah, but man, yes, you're right. Light, cheap, and totally reliable, but loud, ugly. Okay. Tyler. Nick is just stirring from a nap. Dude, tell Nick that it's after 10. She's allowed to stay in bed. Like with Mike. Give me a blue polytarp and a glazed donut, and I'm set to go. Why? I can't join the USA Space Force. I'm not American, but hold on. Did I finally get to the... Yes, I've caught up with the conversation. I've caught up. Oh, Tyler says he would have made her stay in bed, but the poor thing has homework. I have to work after we're done here tonight, which makes me happy. Let me tell you. Next week I've got a fairly cool live stream though, so everybody make sure you come back next week. It's It's the end of the beer. But I brought tea down. Hold on a second. It's there. Tea is a good drink. Oh, my land. It has gone lukewarm. Rats. Tyler wanted to talk about DIY tools, which is what Brother Love says. Yes, a poly tarp is an abomination, which brings us back to treating canvas to perform just like it. I like canvas. And here's the thing, like, I know I was telling Austin before, look, give the guy your money. It's worth it. But I do like DIYing stuff. I like the process. I like the pageantry when I have the time. And that's the thing. I don't have the time. The reason why I have so many DIY projects just waiting to be done is just I can't get the damned time. I thought that with this quarantine and everything going on, I was going to have all the kinds of time, but I have less time because I'm still working, but I work late into the night because it's impossible to get all my stuff done during the day because of kids. I have stuff just sitting there because there are videos I want to make that I can't make because I can't get to the woods. And then there are videos I want to make that I can't make because I don't have time to do the projects that those videos will be about. But, again, it's a first world problem. I'm still not COVID positive. I think we will all get it at some point because I think it'll come around like a flu does. But at this point, by the time I get sick, there's no danger of well, that depends. If COVID turns out to be like the Spanish flu of 1918, the next wave will be horrible. But Simone says, I'm still looking for a good tarp or a good source of canvas. And it's funny that you mentioned that, Simone, because I think it was like last year I said I would like to do a video on making an old-fashioned tarp, like oilskin, treating it myself. And I was wondering about sourcing materials, and I had thought of buying a canvas drop cloth as well, and using like a linseed oil mixture to treat it with, specifically so that I could set it up and have a tarp that I'm not afraid of getting a hole in if an ember lands on it, because my AquaQuest has 3 holes in from embers. And something I could sit in under the rain. Good old-fashioned canvas, right? And I was all set up to spend whatever $50 on a drop cloth. I never did it. I suddenly had all these questions. I think maybe Tyler, this is around the time you started hanging out for the live streams, because I remember there being the beginnings of this kind of conversation then as well about the weave, and so I never did it, but I'd still really like to do it at some point. Get a piece of like good canvas, turn it into a 10x10 tarp, maybe a 10x13. I mean, I've got a 10x10, right? Treat it, throw some grommets in it. There'll be like a canoe camping tarp or something, though, like something I can throw into the middle of a boat, because it would weigh much, much more than my AquaQuest. So it would be like it would be context specific. If I was going car camping or canoe camping, I would bring that. If I was, hiking 5 or 6 clicks into the bush, I would just bring my AquaQuest kind of thing and hope the fire doesn't poke holes in it. Brother Love says, incidentally, was this a strong beer by any chance? No, it's 6%. Well, it says strong beer, but that's not. Shut up, strong beer. The HPC blankets were valued for their waterproofness, a testament to the high quality of the wool. Proper process retained the lanolin This is an interesting point. This also comes into play when you're cleaning up, when you're washing your blanket, by the way. Many imitations do not preserve this quality. Absolutely true. Nick Adams, how's it going? How are you doing, man? Welcome to the live stream. You want to tell us all what's been doing? Got some news? Just gonna put my legs up. It's amazing how old I'm starting to sound. Like I groan about things. Camille and I did our karate instructor offered us a private, like a 10-minute lesson just to get us ready for the belt test that's coming up at the beginning of May. Man, karate beats the crap out of me. By the time we're done, I am done. And Camille's still like all limber and, want to do a little bit of practicing, Daddy? I'm like, okay. Nick is a few beers in, sir. I've been working on your Jeep and working, wishing people would get out of the house. Miss your privacy. I'm one beer in. I don't yet have a Jeep. What are you working on? You're not like putting a lift kit on or anything. Like, what kind of work are you doing on that Jeep of yours? And have we had this conversation? Do you have a Wrangler or is it something else? But yeah, this house is feeling crowded as well. I'm right there with you, and I'm speaking as someone who is deeply in love with his entire family. But the missus had to go into the office today and yesterday, and I think it did her some good to sort of be out and see her office and get a little bit of normalcy. I will not be in my office anytime soon. But at a time like this, anything that sort of reminds you of the way things were when they were normal, I think is precious, Check signal or post that link. Hold on a second. Oh, hold on. Sorry. I'm about to do something. Boom. And I think Signal does not work on my computer right now. For any of you who are using Signal, is it working on your computer right now? Because I can only get it to work on my phone. Hold on. I know this is so pro, guys. I'm sorry. I have songs from the Moana soundtrack stuck in my head right now because the eldest daughter has rediscovered that film. And I am a Disney skeptic, okay? To me, the only good Disney princess is Leia, but there's a certain magic to that film. No, there's a certain magic to the music in that film. Tyler, tell me if that worked. Sorry about that, folkies. Okay, where were we? What have I lost? TJ, right. I'm sure we've had this conversation before. Tyler will probably come online if I give him the right link, and he will talk about lanolin. He knows his stuff. I think I've spoken about lanolin with Tyler before. Hawaii Volcano says, the older I get, the better I need to get, because if you can't end a fight in 3 seconds, you will lose. I will lose. lose because I'm only doing this karate thing because I'm a fat bitch and I'm tired of it. I'm hoping that my daughter will be more self-sufficient because of it. She already took down a kid at school who had been bullying her. Humble brag. Years ago, I finally found a full HBC blanket untorn that was being used to wrap up a transmission. It's easily 50 years old and still has the good feel. Wow! So obviously, it's you kept the blanket. Nick says, I'm on the fence about lifting it. I think I need new springs on the front end, and at that point I may as well add a bit. But I've enjoyed stock shoots in the past because maintenance is minimal. I don't know what's the... Okay, you might be able to tell me this. What's the point of a lift kit? Like, the only thing that I see on a lift kit is a Jeep that looks kind of dumb, or, god damn it, an F-150 that looks stupid. But is there a benefit to them that I don't get? There's got to be, right? Because it's a lot of money for something that's just for show. And I've seen some lift kits that aren't that ridiculous either, right? So is this for clearance over rocks, like increased clearance over rocks or mud or something? Blanket lower, they were always made in pairs and only torn at time of sale. What, really? Lift kit gets you further off the ground without changing tire size and having to reset the speedometer. Interesting. Okay. I don't know what just happened upstairs. So I'm just catching up here. Nate, do you want to... Hold on. More tires, more better, Brother Love says. You can use larger tires in stock. The benefit is greater ground clearance off-road. Brother Love now. The link doesn't function, for crying out bloody loud. And of course, Signal doesn't function on my computational apparatus. Oh, I know why. Tyler, take the space out of stream and yard. You know what? Fuck it. Okay. Oh, I just said fuck it. Boom. There you go. Nick says, without changing tire size, you don't increase your ground clearance. Tire to diff. Oh, because it's still the same space to the axle, right? Nate Muskoka, can we hear you? Can't hear you. You're breaking my heart, Nate. I want to know what you have to say. And by the way, I love that you have a paddle on your wall back there. 2 paddles on your wall. That's the kind of decor that I could not get. I could not get that.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
Hey. Now let's not forget about what people are saying.
Okay, yeah, let's not do a forgetting.
Young Indiana.
You know, it's actually to hide the growing mane that is under this hat because it's starting to get a little floofy.
Oh, fuck off!
You are full on River Phoenix, Young Indiana right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
I used to watch that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely! What a great show.
I used to watch that. But
I found that years ago now, and binged the whole thing in like one sitting.
God.
It was so good too. It was a great show.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would just like to point out that I also used to have a mane, but it ain't there anymore, which is why I've just started. So, I feel your pain, by which I mean, take off, eh?
Yeah, no, someone had commented about wool being processed correctly for lanolin, and I learned some more about that. And I thought it would be useful to people who are curious. So one of the things you can do with wool is relanolize it, but to say that it's the same is wrong, and whoever mentioned it being processed correctly is very much right. So here's the deal. When sheep
Okay,
originally...
Tyler, where does one get lanolin oil?
You can order lanolin from a lot of places. Believe it or not, like beauty suppliers or like natural homesteading places will have a lot of it. People who sell soap making supplies. Lanolin's a really effective emollient for your skin to hold in moisture and keep you from getting windburn. So they sell it that way. I got a pound of anhydrous lanolin, pretty pure stuff, for like $11 shipped. It was awesome.
You're speaking to two Canadians, so that'll probably be like $25 shipped.
Well, we'll see. I imagine there's a lot of places that produce it because woolly sheep do well in cold climates, which you have more of. So,
Truth.
but yeah, so the deal is when sheep are producing lanolin, it doesn't just come from their skin; it does come from the follicles as well. And when wool is originally shorn, the whole thing is pretty much, I mean, if it's done right, it's pretty much just suckered in what they call wool fat lanolin. It's exactly what it is. When that gets carted out and cleaned, a lot of that quote-unquote wool fat does turn into the lanolin we get, and then the further they process it down, the less lanolin is there in the wool. So if you've ever smelled a really rough wool-rich blanket, the texture is a bit different, and that's because the fibers are more raw, but they also smell way more like lanolin because there's more of it there. And this is where my argument against processed recycled wool comes from as well, because you cannot find recycled wool with the quality lanolin content the same way you would a new wool. No, I'm not saying you can't get it and relanolize it, but when you relanolize wool in a hot water and lanolin bath, it's not the same because it only coats the outside of the fibers.
So let's just say you've got an expensive wool blanket, and part of the reason you spend the money on the expensive wool blanket is to, get your lanolin content and everything. And over, a few years of use, you're just throwing this thing in the wash and whatever. Like, how, in terms of upkeep, how do you keep from losing your lanolin too quickly? Just never wash it?
Yeah, don't overwash it. There's actually an experiment out there, and if I can find it later, I'll post it on the discussion section of your page if it still exists in the U of tubes.
Yeah.
But there's an experiment out there where a guy made a wool shirt and didn't wash it for 100 days. The thing looked and smelled brand new. Lanolin is really good at it's slightly antibacterial.
Yeah.
So it will prevent bacterial growth as far as odors and mold and all that grossness. So you don't really need to wash wool a lot. People who say you can beat a wool rug or a wool blanket relatively clean are not lying. You can do that, and you should. And I say beat, not vacuum, because the more of the original fiber you have there in the form of fluff, the better your insulation will be. Yeah. Don't vacuum the damn wool blanket. I don't care what people say. They're liars.
Good point.
You lose a lot of that loose wool fluff that you get. This is why I tell people also to not use an aggressive spin cycle or to put it in the dryer for long periods on low.
Yeah.
Because the longer your blanket is tumbling, the more of your fluff that you want is getting trapped in your stupid
your lint trap.
Your lint trap. The more of it is going to the lint trap, and the less of it is between you and the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing. And then canvas was the other side of this I wanted to talk about. So.
Okay, well, sorry, Tyler. Can I just go back for a sec?
Yeah, for sure.
Just for all the kind of the camping crowd that are really into using, high grade merino wool as a base layer. And so you talked a lot about the higher the production time or the greater the production cycle of that wool, the less of the antimicrobial or antibacterial values it continues with. So is there really the same value in terms of wear it for 10 days and you don't smell any sweat in your kind of icebreaker or smart wool base layers as there is in like a wool blanket that you get from your grandmother and never wash?
So it depends. If it's real merino and it's like farm processed stuff that's coming from someone who owns the sheep, basically. From what I know, merino sheep are different because their wool actually is finer. They have a finer hair. Now, obviously, with finer hair comes less overall lanolin content, but also you have to realize the ratio of fiber to lanolin is probably pretty close to the same.
Yeah, my understanding of the whole merino thing was that because the sheep themselves have a finer wool, it doesn't have to be processed to be that smooth and
exactly. That's the advantage of having merino wool, and that's why it's more expensive, is because the sheep are hard to deal with, for one. That's most of the reason, but it takes less processing to get it to really smooth, durable stuff, because it's the same stuff, it's just finer, but it got there naturally.
Yeah, I love that stuff, because you realize that the sheep that produce that live and grow that wool to live in the very similar climate than we do in kind of the northern parts of North America, which is pretty cool.
Dude, sheep are dope. Let's just say sheep are cool. So the next part was canvas. So this is what I'll just kind of do it with my fingers. This is what drop cloth canvas looks like.
That's a 3-2.
This is 2-1. So 2 here, 1 here.
Oh, I
these
see.
guys.
Right.
So this is what drop cloth canvas looks like. It's not terrible. It is totally doable. It's relatively durable. The issue with drop cloth canvas is 2 things. One, the thread count is different across the weft and the weave.
Yep.
And then the other thing is drop cloth canvas has much thicker weft and weave threads, which don't swell shut as well as a finer weave of canvas. I have a different kind of canvas that's closer to tent canvas, but it's like 6-ounce stuff, and I used to use it in clothing. And it was really good because even if I didn't coat it in something, when it got wet, it would swell shut because it was woven, like that. I'm not going to try and weave maybe I will. It was woven like that.
1-1.
Yeah, it was woven 1-1, and the threads were tiny. And that's kind of the important thing. Now, with the heavier weight of canvas, the threads will get bigger, but 1-1 is what you want. So you can buy a drop cloth, and they're going to be, thick as all hell threads, and that weave is going to be looser. But, if you slather that dude in wax, you can get it to work. I personally wouldn't do it, because if you have thick, tightly woven threads, that's what you want for bushcraft. That's the stuff, so to speak. And I don't not trying to brag or anything, but I know because I've made it and I worked with it. And I know what a PETA it can be to try and get a good piece of gear and find out it's not what you wanted because you just didn't know.
Yeah.
So when you see, I don't know if Tyler, Jess, I know you have, and Tyler, hopefully you have, when you see the old Bill Mason videos and those guys camping in Baker style or prospector tents, and it seems to be just kind of like a very finely woven cotton. So do you have any insight into, so those guys are carrying fairly lightweight but very tightly woven cotton, it seems like, for those Baker or prospector style tents, as to how they would waterproof that or even not waterproof that and still have it be lightweight?
I have a whole write-up on that I think most of the people on right now have the same. I don't know if it's the Nesmuk or the Kephart book. He goes into how he used to treat it. The stuff that he uses is kind of poisonous. Where the hell did Tyler go? Oh, there he is.
I'm back.
But I think that the magic there lies in whatever you're using to coat it with. And I don't know what the modern magic is. I'm assuming that it's going to be some sort of a beeswax and linseed oil mixture. But I do remember when I was reading was it Nesmuk or Kippert? I think it was Nesmuk. Like he went into this whole thing about using a duck, a duck canvas, thin of this many ounces, and pantasote this and all that. And he went into the recipe, and it's like lead, like a solution of
Well,
lead
yeah,
and aluminium and
yeah. If
oh,
we use that old school duck canvas recipe for everything to keep us dry, we'd all be
dead of cancer.
We'd all be hacking up chemicals right now,
Yeah.
or I don't even know. Young Indiana.
Don't do lead. So this is going to be abhorrent to all of you, and I'm sorry, but this is the truth. There is a fantastic thing you can do with petroleum jelly and microcrystalline wax. You put them in a double boiler, and you find a consistency you like, and you let them sit until they do that thing where they kind of just become the same substance after a while of stirring and boiling.
Mm-hmm.
And then you let it set, and then you put it on your stuff.
And does it become kind of a sort of a creamy solid that you rub on, and then you go over with a hairdryer?
More or less. So this is why the microcrystalline wax comes in. So paraffin is fairly brittle.
Yep.
We know this. Microcrystalline is not. It's almost a lubricant, but it's also not. Microcrystalline you can bend into a ribbon, and it has really good fatigue strength, which is kind of what you want from a waterproofing wax. The petroleum jelly in there is, I don't know how to explain this so much. The same way that an emollient traps moisture in your skin is the same way that waxes and petroleum jelly trap moisture out of fabric.
Okay.
It forms a pretty good coating on top, and the microcrystalline is there to provide the strength. The petroleum jelly is there to provide enough flexibility for the microcrystalline to rest in. And when you put that over something, it seems like, to me at least, as far as I've used it, to be a little more durable than beeswax or paraffin, either one of them.
Right.
Okay.
So Nate, because I'm pretty sure you've got some Fjallraven trousers in your kit somewhere.
Oh man, this is gonna be really bad, but okay.
Good man.
Nick Adams is lost. Uh-oh. Sorry, that was forever ago, too.
He's probably caught up by this point.
I am wearing some Fjallraven trousers right now.
Attaboy.
Good man.
No,
I love mine. I need more, but
my problem is that for the price I get them for, that often it's a very kind of easy addiction due to my circumstances.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anywho, also due to if anyone else has maybe noticed during this time of pandemic and various stages of isolation and social distancing and inactivity, that perhaps your clothing size has also fluctuated along with our distancing regimes.
Yeah, it's a little harder to stay 6 feet away when you're larger than you used to be. Which
I gotta go AFK a sec. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So yeah, we do sell a lot of the wax blend that Fjall sells with their products.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I've seen a far better result from a variety of people that do their own paraffin and beeswax blends. A lot of the problems that seem to come up are that it's way too easy to apply too much of the Fjall wax to the pant.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden your pants go from being fairly breathable and light to pretty heavy and not very breathable, but very waterproof. And the best prescription I have, if you've already done that to your pants, is to actually just wash them and dry them. Because that
washer and dryer.
Yeah, dry them, tumble dry low, not for very long, medium heat, and that'll kind of like it kind of enlarges the fibers a little bit and brings the wax together after losing a whole bunch of it, hopefully in the washer. So if you've already loaded up your Fjall pants with too much Fjall wax, there is a fix to that, and it is just washing them.
Okay.
So it's really tough because it often seems like you're not putting enough wax on, and then you like see this big white layer that you're putting on, and then you're like, oh my god, I put on too much, and then you blast it with a hair dryer or an iron or whatever you're using, and then you realize like you have all these crazy dark splotches all over your Fjall pants. And yeah, the only way to get rid of that is by washing them a bunch. But yeah, I think online you'll find that there's a whole bunch of different blends that people have used that involve kind of a mix of paraffin and beeswax. And I'm curious to say what Tyler has about mixing. I'm curious to hear what Tyler has to say about mixing beeswax with oil in order to do that, because if you read the interior label of your Fjall Raven pants, you'll realize that they are mostly cotton.
Yep.
And it's just a much tighter weave of cotton, and they're calling that their G1000 material. Don't get me wrong, I love these pants. I love all the pockets. I love that I feel cool when I put them on, but yeah, there is definitely a really, really easy way to wax them way too much very easily.
And that's what the guys, the Trial by Fire guys were saying, is that, like, you wax them and nothing happens. You wax them and nothing happens. You wax them again and it's like, oh Jesus, fuck, man, I've gone too far. I just said fuck.
How many times are you going to demonetize yourself, man?
It at this point in my channel, it doesn't bloody matter.
Yeah, you know what? The easiest thing I found is to pick a pair that you want to experiment with, or you're going to wear in crappy spring conditions. You're going to be on your knees in a bunch.
Yep.
And overdo it. Like do it. Wax it to the amount where you're like, okay, this should do it. And then blast it with a hairdryer. And then when you see the way that hairdryer seeps the wax into the fabric, you will right away see the amount, the amount of dissipation the wax puts into the fabric and how far it spreads. And so you can do that on a test section. My suggestion would be kind of like the lower gusset area of the ankles, because you really want to get it right in your knees and in your butt. Yeah. And so, but yeah, blasting a certain amount with the hairdryer after you've caked a bunch on will give you a really good idea of how much you've actually put on there and how far it spreads once you blast it with some heat.
It is notable. I am a hyper traditionalist turd, and anyone in the Signal chat knows that. But so anytime you're using, trying to make some waterproofing recipe, what you're doing is taking something super waterproof like a wax and softening it up with an oil. Everyone knows that. The key to this is making sure you don't create something that will A, eat away your pants, and B, make you feel super clammy. And
that's my big problem. I need breathability more than I need to be bone dry.
Oh, dude, gussets all the way, and just bring a sit pad. Not even gonna lie. That's all you need.
On the I have a few pairs. The pair I'm wearing right now, I've never waxed, and I've been wearing them paddling the last 2 days. There's another pair I have that I'll use for backcountry winter travel, as far as snowshoeing and backcountry skiing goes, that I do wax, because often at that point I don't have the luxury of carrying like a butt pad and a knee pad and et cetera. And I do find the wax really useful for that, as long as I'm wearing like a good merino wool base layer underneath to enhance my breathability as much as possible without me getting clammy. And this is kind of like your scenario without even getting into synthetics such as Capline and Gore-Tex combos kind of thing.
Right.
So I do really like the waxed Fial pants I do have for backcountry skiing, backcountry snowshoeing, when I am kneeling or sitting for extended periods of time, and I do appreciate it at that point. But yeah, the pants I'm wearing right now, I wear for paddling. I have not touched with wax, and I probably won't until I absolutely have to, because yeah, like you, I really, really appreciate the breathability.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess that up until I absolutely like am in need.
Yeah.
Dude, you hit exactly where I was going to go with it. Kind of. I mean, you touched it. You have a fantastic segue for me. Thank you. So
Nate's
one
here.
of the, I know, right? What a guy. One of the things you really notice about a lot of these old timey quote unquote camping and bushcrafting personalities is they're all wearing base layers, and they're wearing good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, they're wearing really well vented waffle weave thermal fabric of some kind. Most of the time, wool is what they tell you. Wool against the skin is its own can of worms, so I'm not going to get into it.
It's the merino magic.
Yeah, if you can do it, It's better, at least as far as functionality speaking.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it for me. So I bit the bullet a long time ago, at least relative to me. I know I'm 20, like I'm young and stupid. I admit it. But for me, I bit the bullet a long time ago and just started wearing, waffle weave base layers and good stuff, so I could have wax repellency and durability on my pants when I wanted it. Now everyone's like, "Oh my God, isn't that hot?" Well, not really. You learn to your body relearns to thermoregulate in a day most of the time. Let's be real here. And when you have things like modern antiperspirants, like what are you even complaining about? Grab some solid deodorant, rub it where you gotta rub it, put on your base layer, and go to the woods.
It's funny that you said that about the body sort of getting used to whichever temperature you're at, because Martin Pine, he said something very similar about being in the cold.
Yeah, I remember that.
He doesn't like to bundle up so that you're absolutely comfy and warm, because as soon as that happens, once you're working, you're sweating. So he says, you should sort of be a little chilly, and your body kind of regulates to that after about a day or two, and you get used to it. And that way, you don't start sweating as soon as you swing an axe.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, and I'm pretty sure Nate appreciates that too, because if you're
Nate knows
in minus 40, the last thing you want is that clammy, sweaty feeling under all your layers.
If you sweat in minus 40, you're looking at to build a fire and you will die.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as that goes, breathability is key. And what surprised me was that winter camping and winter outings, if I just wear a merino wool base layer, a polar fleece if I have to. Polar fleece is weird stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a big
Yep.
But then a big old like grandma knit wool sweater on top.
Good stuff.
An Aran sweater or something.
Yeah, even if it's pounding snow and minus 25, the results of that combination are absolutely fascinating, because it's still breathable, it still has a ton of thermal value, and it still helps regulate your temperature. We're getting into like Kevin Callan, Martin Pine territory here, but anyways, we've gotten a little bit off track. I would say wax your Fial trousers as needed. If you can get a couple pairs, wax one, blast it with some heat to infuse the fabric with that wax, and leave the other one totally unwaxed, and see which ones you like better for which weather conditions.
I wouldn't mind getting another pair of the Vita Pros. The thing is, man, they're expensive. Like buying another pair of those Vita Pros for me, it's they're expensive.
Yeah, but okay. So
the thing is, they last you like 10 years, right?
Yeah. Here's my thing with that, and I totally see where you're coming from, especially these days where I've curbed my spending a ton. But you have people out there that spend like $500 on vintage jeans and just like craziness like that. And I think to spend a good amount of money on stuff that is modular and can be change in terms of the size you're at for where you're at, for what you like doing with your free time,
It's
is
worth it.
worthwhile.
It is.
And I've had Fjall Pants modded, basically just tailored, because unfortunately, like Tyler, I'm not handy like that myself.
Oh, sorry, man.
And yeah, I would just like my thumb would be just like a pincushion. So, you know, I've had them tailored a few times to suit, just based on where I'm at with my weight, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And the comments I've had from the tailor here in town that I brought them to is that they're very easy to work with. So when you have something like that that's easily modified, and you know is going to last a long time, then yeah, I mean, as far as spending a little bit of money on something that you know you're investing in as part of what you love to do with your free time, then at that point I say it's worth it.
Dude, you're so smart.
I-
No,
Nate, I just want to ask: Are you an owner or an employee at your shop?
don't
at the shop,
don't bite.
at my shop.
Yeah,
Oh no, I'm the store manager. It's
he's a
a
manager.
huge it's a
Bit.
huge shop, and there's a number of them, and I'm just the store manager for my location. And in fact, as far as Fjall Raven goes, or Fjall Raven goes, yes, we are a dealer, but I don't have any association with that company directly, at all. So
This whole chat's gonna come for you now, dude. They know.
No, no, the reason why I was asking is because I know that Nate's out of work right now, and I was wondering if it even makes a difference. I wasn't, because I've never been in your part of Ontario. I don't know much about that business, about that. You say that there's a few of them. Actually, I knew there was a few of them, but I don't know anything about them really.
Okay, so long story short, Algonquin Outfitters has been around since 1961. The original location is just outside the west gate of Algonquin Park. It's been family owned since then. I'm really fortunate to actually still be on the payroll as part of a government subsidy program, and actually still work quite a bit. We're working on getting an online store going right now, as well as a curbside pickup option going right now. But yeah, essentially the whole outfitting part, the outfitting and rental side of the business right now is extremely complicated because, of course, as we all know, and as everyone's been discussing online, Ontario parks, provincial parks and national parks are closed until at least May 31st.
Yeah.
And so, as you can imagine, that throws a wrench into the entire kind of rental and outfitting side of all those businesses that serve those markets. And so it is kind of like a week by week process right now. We do have stores inside of those parks, we do have locations inside of Algonquin Provincial Park. And that in itself is extremely complicated because we can't access those properties or those locations until the government says we can actually go there.
Right, because the park's closed.
That's right. So luckily, the location I manage is in Huntsville, which is not inside Algonquin Park. It's close to it, but not quite. It's more kind of like the northern end of Muskoka Cottage Country, and not very far from Algonquin Park at all. But we don't fall in those kind of park guidelines, thankfully. So
yeah, okay.
But yes, long story short, I don't get paid or sponsored or anything like that by Fjall Raven.
No, it wasn't even about that. It's just I had you actually online, so I had the opportunity to ask because I was wondering how you were doing right now. Because I know that a lot of retail places are done.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really thankful for the position I'm in right now in an owner that had the kind of the foresight to shore up his position before now, and And thankfully, me along with a number of our other coworkers are on the government wage subsidy program and are actually currently working towards an online store and curbside pickup in a couple of our locations. And right now, you wouldn't believe the amount of planning and purchasing and research that has to be done in order to even think about retail and outfitting and rental stores. That, you know, the amount of preparation that needs to be done right now in order for us to even think about reopening.
Right.
The logistics of it are
crazy.
Yeah. But anyways, it means I'm working, but it also means I've had a ton of time to be out in the woods and be paddling. And I've been paddling the last few days, and I'm really thankful to be in a location where I can cart my canoe down to the water in about 5 minutes and be gone.
Lucky man.
Yeah. I live vicariously through your Instagram feed right now. That's for sure.
I was again, I don't take it for granted, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it, and it's been heaven sent, because I think the first couple weeks in this, I wasn't in a very good kind of spot, and now being able to kind of get it on the water, it's much better. Today, I was actually, someone in Dennis's chat earlier was talking about the Minas Link route, which is something we've chatted about before on here, and I was actually, funnily enough, on a bunch of the Crown land that the Minas Link Algonquin Park route runs through earlier today, just doing some bushwhacking and following a moose trail, and checking out the water levels, and it was just kind of really neat to kind of be in there again and just poking around, and then hear it mentioned that people are still kind of thinking about it and talking about it tonight. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I just noticed that it is 2,300 hours. So I guess we're done. Man, that went fast. I was like, what do you mean it's 11 o'clock? And since I have to actually do some work tonight, I guess we won't go until 23:30 tonight. Thanks to you guys for coming on and making it more interesting.
It was fun. I learned.
And I
learned too. Thank you, Tyler.
I definitely learned. So I hope to see everyone again next week. Thanks for hanging out with us. And everybody stay safe and healthy. And maybe we'll get through this thing sooner rather than later. Thanks, guys.
We will.